Hey guys, David here, founder of SuperThread. So welcome to the second episode of my AI podcast, where I try and talk about AI in a language that an ordinary person understands. So this particular podcast is going to be about the news from the world of AI. So what's been happening recently is that the SoftBank has invested $40 billion into OpenAI at $300 billion valuation. SoftBank is led by this investor called Masa. He's Japanese, but it's basically a Saudi fund. And is this a good idea? Is to be seen. SoftBank has made good investments on average, traditionally. They made some blunders or they've been scammed by WeWork, for example, but it's to be seen whether this is a good idea. That said, when it comes to business to consumer AI, OpenAI has done very well. They have a lot of users who are willing to pay $20 a month to use them. And that means that they're making more money than YouTube or Facebook per user. And it's a great experience in a sense that there's no ads. So it's also to be seen whether SoftBank has seen something that we haven't. Because as of recently, Gemini, which is Google's LLM, has surpassed OpenAI in terms of ranking, which is not surprising, but maybe SoftBank has seen something that we haven't seen. But one way or the other, I'm kind of on the border whether this is a good idea to invest 40 billion. Even if they don't get 10x back, they get double back. It's still a good investment because, doubling $40 billion is great. But OpenAI has been doing very well as of late. Their new image generation capabilities are amazing for sure. And they're doing well. But that said, Gemini is ramping up. So they're becoming a serious competitor. As of now, as of the recording of this podcast, they are ahead of OpenAI when it comes to the benchmarks. And it's not really surprising because Google's AI division is here in London. It's called DeepMind. And they have been doing this for a long time. Just to give you a general idea, the OpenAI's famous chief scientist, Ilya Sutskever, who left AI a while back, was basically an intern at DeepMind here in London. So that gives you an idea of how long DeepMind have been doing this. And I think if anyone has any chance in achieving AGI, artificial general intelligence, it's probably DeepMind because they have amazing talent here in London. So that's the news on the investment and Gemini. It's also worth noting that this is old news now, but like that Mira Murati, who was the CTO, Chief Technology Officer from OpenAI, has also raised at a $3 billion valuation to build a foundational model like ChatGPT. And Ilya Sutskever has raised at a $30 billion valuation or something like that. It's incredible to see people raising seed rounds at such a high valuation. I mean, this is really, truly amazing. But are LLMs, are foundational models a product or are they just kind of infrastructure? Is to be seen. So will they make money? Is to be seen. We've seen what this Chinese company called DeepSeek did. They were able to create a decent foundational model, basically as good as ChatGPT, on the cheap. Not that cheap, but on the cheap, and offer it at 1/20th of the cost for users. So this is, it's going to be very, very interesting. What else has been happening in the news? Europe, does Europe stand a chance of creating its own decent LLM? There's Mistral from France, which turns out is quite good when it comes to French language. And does Europe have the talent to do it? For sure, 100%. There's this history of engineering in Europe. They've always been very good at engineering when it comes to all sorts of engineering. But the investment climate in Europe is nowhere as near as good as America. So the Americans are basically willing to risk 10x more compared to Europeans. It's incredibly conservative here in Europe. But does Europe have the expertise or the skill to create great LLMs or foundational models? 100%. And they have the talent. But again, this kind of sense of entrepreneurship is not really as strong as it is in America. That's why a lot of talent leaves Europe and goes to San Francisco or Silicon Valley. The other news is that the XAI, which is Elon Musk's AI division, has bought Twitter, or X. I mean, I think, in my opinion, he's just trying to recover his money that he overpaid for Twitter. But that said, Twitter does have a lot of content. I wouldn't say it's the best type of content. If you remember what I was talking about in my last podcast, that you want to train these models with good quality content, not just nonsense, which there's a lot of in Twitter. But nevertheless, it's still a lot of original content. And it's to be seen how well they do. But I don't know anyone using that, basically. Everyone I know is using ChatGPT, which, again, I go back to the investment, which is why perhaps it makes sense that the investment makes sense at $300 billion valuation. So, that's basically the news, guys. I hope you enjoyed it. I'm trying to go with this short format, 5 minutes. So it's kind of consumable on the go by the people. It's not too long. And tell me what you think. And tell me also if I'm using complex language. I'm trying to kind of use a language which is kind of understandable by the ordinary non-technical person here. And if you got any ideas on how I can improve this, let me know in the comments. All right, thanks a lot, and I'll see you guys next time.